Hey folks, Michael Collins here, EnviroReporter.com on September 2nd, 2014. Check out this map of Anaheim, California. This graph shows the amount of beta radiation in the air in Anaheim, California. But right there at August 15th, it just stops. You know, only 40 out of 124 possible beta stations in the EPA RadNet are functioning as of this date. And that's just unacceptable if we really want to know what the amount of man-made radionuclides is across the United States in various stations. And I wish I could say it was just in Anaheim that the stations are given out, but here we are in Eureka, California, and nice low beta readings all the way up until about August 7th, one day after our last talk, and just drops off to nothing. But on a brighter note, you can see here in Bakersfield, California, that the graph has been on since the beginning of August. It's come back on. Same with their gamma graph. And I don't know if it's dropped off again, but it sure is cooking up there in Bakersfield. It's about 340 counts per minute in Bakersfield, California a couple days ago. But I'm getting ahead of myself because Montgomery, Alabama, this beta graph is working, and check it out. It came in earlier today or yesterday at about 160 counts per minute. Now, what does this mean? Beta radiation is normally made up of man-made radionuclides. This is what we're looking for when we're looking at differences, because man-made radionuclides like cesium-137 and strontium-90 that are coming out of the triple meltdown at Fukushima Daiichi in Japan that began in March of 2011, these are very dangerous for your health. And background is down around in these numbers everywhere, and it doesn't matter what your elevation is. Elevation has no determination on whether you have high beta or not. But Montgomery, Alabama has gotten much busier, but not nearly as busy as some of the places we'll look at today. Places like Anchorage, Alaska, which you can see, this is about what one should be expecting in terms of beta. Now, mind you, Anchorage is in Alaska, where the Fukushima Sea of Goo in the Pacific is impacting. But right in here, we see a jump relative to its background. That's over 2 times, maybe about 2 to 3 times background, but it's still down in a range that is much less than in the rest of the country. Even Fairbanks, Alaska is more active than Anchorage. Here, Fairbanks, Alaska in the last day came up to about 65 counts per minute beta gross. And here in Phoenix, Arizona, it hit a 3-month high about August 25th with about 210 counts per minute. Look at that spike, active. But not as active as Tucson, Arizona, which was over 350 counts per minute, August 28th. Look at that. Look at all this. Look at this back here in early June. But this is what we're talking about. This is the period of time since we last reported to you. So we look at the highest levels and we report them to you. And hopefully you're in an area that has an operative beta station. Because the gamma radiation, while important, is stuff you can't control. We're talking emissions from the stars and the sun. This is our determinant for beta radiation, which if inhaled or ingested can cause cancer. Little Rock, Arkansas hit over 380 counts per minute August 10th, and it's trending more active in pulses in an area used to about 20 counts per minute. And when I say that, that's based on data that's off to this side of the graph, data we've saved from the EPA, because we know what the background should be in Little Rock, Arkansas, and it is not this here, and it's not this here. Fort Smith, Arkansas suddenly went nuts at about August 22nd here. Look at this. And then the graph looks like it's died. Now, when we said that there were 40 operating beta stations, we included graphs like this, figuring we're coming back off the holidays, that the volunteers who run RadNet, you know, are just getting their acts together. And we still hope that's the case, but this is many days that this is not working, and in an area of the country that's so important and obviously very active. Now, we showed you the problems with the Anaheim and Eureka, California beta maps going out, beta graphs going out. Well, here's Fresno. It's working. It's working all right. And as you can see, it is active. It charted about 270 counts per minute August 27th. Los Angeles, California, second biggest metropolitan in the United States of America. And do we have a beta gross count rate monitor that works? One that produces information? No, this is a big blank. What you do have, though, is you have Radiation Station Santa Monica and Radiation Station Glendale, which are online 24/7, giving you radiation readings. We have stations in Simi Valley, gives daily readings. We've got stations in East Los Angeles and Hemet in the high desert. So that's good, but that is no substitute for this. And you know what, folks? We always think that the volunteers who help run this is not a some charity that's going on here. This is according to sources that we've seen who've reported on this before, this system, EPA RadNet, is run by a private company that got a single source contract with the government, according to these sources. And the owner of the company used to work under Secretary of Defense under George Bush, a Secretary of Defense under George Bush. So what does this mean? Well, you know, we're paying taxpayer money and only 40 out of the 124 beta stations are working. There's Los Angeles's. As you can see, Riverside, California is quite active, and it's moving up, and in the last couple of days has hit 300 counts per minute. And check out next door, San Bernardino County. Holy moly, look at that in the last couple of days. That's north of 300 counts per minute. That is at about 320, 325 counts per minute in San Bernardino County. You know, you'll find people that try to say, oh, you can't put any numerical values on when it gets dangerous with beta. Well, I say bollocks to that, because look at this. We do know that you can talk about radiation against background. And the California Highway Patrol, according to Nuclear Regulatory Commission documents that EnviroReporter.com has seen and says that if they come upon a situation where something is over 3 times background, it requires hazardous materials protocols, hazmat protocols, meaning they've got a possible problem. EPA calls anything over 3 times background significant. Now, that word doesn't mean much, but I'll tell you what it means. It means you've got something going on. And if you're in San Diego, we've been talking about this for a while now. This is what you normally should see. And then it started about June 23rd, started to go really nuts. And look at this. Since we've talked to you, look at all this activity. I've got to thank the person in San Diego that's keeping this monitor going, because that's really terrific. But I got to tell you, it keeps hitting 200. It is normally under 20 for a background. That means it's 10 times background. Now, what's that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. If Denise Ann and I were in San Diego or living in San Diego, we'd have our HEPA filters on in our house to clean our air as much as possible. But we're not in San Diego. But the folks that are, pay attention to this. Hartford, Connecticut is trending upward, hitting a 4-month high about August 12th. And this is about 215 counts per minute. And look, this is what it should be. Washington, D.C. also notched a 2-week high August 27th with about 145 counts per minute. But I want to tell you something. They've got a working beta monitor. Not one of the 5 beta graphs that are in the great state of Florida, work. Not one. Washington, D.C.'s works. So if we wanted to know what was going on in the Sunshine State, we'd have to go north to Georgia and go to Atlanta. Their beta graph doesn't work. Go to Augusta. Always did. Until now. Look at this thing. This thing just crashes. Done. So if you're in Augusta, Georgia, you can just guess what the radiation readings are. Look at this here. Since the last time we talked, this puppy has gone up over 450 counts per minute. Look at that. That's on August 7th or 8th, but we don't know anymore. Boy, we sure hope this comes on. Otherwise, we are flying blind in not only Florida, but in the Peach State, Georgia. Fort Wayne, Indiana continues its radical trend upwards. It hit a 4-month high August 24th with about 405 counts per minute. What is going on in Fort Wayne, Indiana? Or what is going on across the country? Because we're seeing some of this stuff come in pulses that seem to match up with each other. Nevertheless, they're all different. And with a big source like Fukushima cranking out radiation mostly into the sea now, most of the air emissions have ceased. However, when you have radioactive ocean water and when you have radioactive land from the initial depositions around the world, that dust and that sea mist gets re-aerated, and it moves through the air and it impacts us in different ways. And all we can do is keep an eye on that beta radiation, because that's about as close as we're going to get to knowing what's going on. Baton Rouge, Louisiana hit a 4-month high on August 25th. Check that out. Oh, we love showing you a Rono, Maine. Rono, Maine has a graph that always works, and it's always down around here. It's getting a little more active in here, but I got to tell you, you know, you do look at multiples of background, but you also look at the sheer amount of beta in the air. This isn't rain, this is air. And boy, in a Rono, Maine, it's low. Well, you know, we used to have nothing from Baltimore, Maryland, and now we're getting something. So let's hope that that this keeps going in here, because Baltimore's so important. It since we last talked to you, hit 200 counts per minute, but we'd have to go back to our old graphs to see what the background is on Baltimore. But the fact of the matter is that, like we said, we're looking for radiation that comes from Fukushima Daiichi, impacting the United States when we're looking at these graphs. Now, of course, there is radiation that comes out of our nuclear power plants, but I don't have the data on that. I have the data that the U.S. government, with your taxpayer dollars, has put together and sees fit to impart to you. And we put it together in such a way that you can actually see the data and understand it. That's why we appreciate you supporting us. Boston, Massachusetts doesn't have a station, but this place does, and it blew through 235 counts per minute August 10th. Grand Rapids, Michigan hit about 260 counts per minute August 25th. We hope this comes back on. The Great Lakes state is very important, and we've seen some very active readings here during the summer. And this reading quite high. It should be down around in here. St. Paul, Minnesota went up to 400 counts per minute August 20th. That's a 4-month high by far. Look at that. 400. St. Louis is trending active again, and it hit about 230 counts per minute on August 25th. We don't know how much of this is impacted by that dump that has radioactive materials in it that's on fire, that apparently fire that can't be put out. This is very troubling to us, folks. Lincoln, Nebraska hit a 4-month high August 3rd with about 360 counts per minute, and then its graph died. Hasn't come back. So real loss. It's the middle of the country. This has got to come back on. You know, this company that runs EPA RadNet, according to the last numbers that we've seen, and we can't vouch for these numbers, but they have been reported elsewhere, they get a base payment of $230,000 a year plus materials and travel. Well, all I know is that if only 40 out of 124 of my beta stations were working, I would try to improve that to 124 out of 124 beta stations working. They're working in Concord, New Hampshire, hit about 195 CPM August 27th. Albuquerque, New Mexico spiked to 350 counts per minute several times in the last 3 weeks with greatly heightened activity and frequency. Look at this. Now, Albuquerque isn't right on top of the WIP facility that we've had so much trouble with, but it is in the same state. One has to wonder, especially since not that far from Albuquerque is Amarillo, Texas, and we'll be taking a look at that, and you will be astonished once again. I've had people wondering, why don't you show us Manhattan, New York City, baby? Here it is. Here it is. See that? The beta gross count rate. Nothing. You get nothing. And that's because EPA RadNet hasn't maintained their beta gross count rate station, which would produce the results that need to go on this graph, for I don't even know how long now. Syracuse here, its station worked in fits and starts. You can see this. You can't rely on any data with something like this. That's the data going out. But right here, about August 25th or so, 24th, 25th, it just stops. The data just stops. There you go. You're paying for nothing. But you are getting a good deal in Charlotte, North Carolina, which hit a 4-month high August 29th with about 180 CPM. Oh boy. Raleigh, North Carolina hit 170 CPM July 24th and cut out, and it still hasn't come back on. See it taking a dive right here, and it just blank. Raleigh, North Carolina. And then there's Toledo, Ohio. Toledo, Ohio, of the toxic drinking water problem in the last couple of months with Mayor Michael Collins, no relation, tried to take care of. What they don't know is that they've got repeatedly high beta. Very active up here. Very troubling here, and we have trending higher here, hitting 250 CPM in the last couple of days. Check this out, Corvallis, Oregon, really taking off here. Look at that. That is, oh, I don't know, 185 counts per minute on August 27th in Corvallis, when it's normally down around like this. Now, this is somewhat inland in Oregon from the Pacific Ocean, but we do know, as EnviroReporter.com's expose, Fukushima, the Perfect Crime, showed, is that Fukushima radiation in the Pacific has affected waters off the coast as far south as a little south of Santa Cruz in California, which is certainly farther south than any coast in Oregon. But that said, this is off the coast a little bit, quite a bit, but not so far that if the sea or goo was impacting the air, it might not be the reason Corvallis is seeing this. Could also have to do with the jet stream. Now, once again, what it is what it is. So when you're getting close to 250, holy moly, but Corvallis is normally under 20. So we're talking 10 times background of several times since we last talked August 6th. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's beta graph hit about 205 CPM August 5th in active ionizing and has remained active. You know what? Up here in the Dakotas, nothing. We've got nothing working. Up in frack land, I had an EnviroReporter.com reader ask me, could some of these high readings have to do with fracking? I would think highly, do not think so. The problem with radioactivity in fracking is, and we've reported on this before, there's over 600 chemicals that are injected into the ground along with 4 radionuclides in fracking to extract the gas and oil through fracking. The Dakotas are the heart of fracking in the western part of the country. What comes up is water that is heavily contaminated with quote-unquote natural radium, but very radioactive radium. And radium doesn't concentrate in water like this unless it's because of the process of fracking. But we're talking about water. We're also talking about a threat to the groundwater, the likes of which you have never seen. And water is more valuable than natural gas because we already have an energy source. It's that big nuclear reactor in the sky. However, are these readings that we're looking at on EPA RadNet having anything to do with fracking? The answer is no. But the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota, would we love to see your beta graphs work? We sure would. And those beta graphs work in some cities in Texas like San Angelo and Amarillo, Texas, which I'm particularly fond of. Now, look at these numbers. Since we last talked to you, look at these numbers. They are unbelievable. What is going on in Amarillo? Dallas is getting busy too. Look at this. Just in the last week, it hit 300 CPM, and it's definitely down in the mid-20s for a background. If you have somebody who takes a ruler and says, oh no, the background is, you run a ruler through it and you get a line like this, and then you figure something out that way. Oh no. This is not the background. The background has been established from graphs that we've had long before, and there's nowhere in the country that has beta up in these regions naturally. However, here in Fort Worth, Texas, you see over here in the very left-hand part of the graph, almost going out 4 months ago. You see that? Whoa, way over 350. But look at this. Drops down, gets normal, little busy. Gets normal, a little busier, little pulse action. However, it's down around under 50 today, and we'll take that in the great state of Texas and Fort Worth. I wish I had an explanation for this in Salt Lake City, Utah. Look at this. Pops up over 200, just drops down. Looks like real data there. It drops off. And about May 13th, it gave up the ghost. Salt Lake City, Utah does not know how much beta radiation is in their air because they are not maintaining their beta station. Okay, now check this out. Olympia, Washington. This is normal. Talked to you last year. This is higher than normal. This is multiples more than normal. Came down again, and it looks to be flirting with about 55 CPM when its background is definitely under 20. So we're looking at a 2.5 times background situation in Olympia that for the last couple of 3 weeks or so, make that at least back to June 23rd, has been the norm. And we're going to leave you with Madison, Wisconsin, hitting a 4-month high August 22nd, charting an astounding 500 counts per minute. Look at that, 500 right there. Come down a little bit. What's going on in Madison, Wisconsin? Denise Ann and I want to thank you for checking out this nationwide radiation report by EnviroReporter.com. We appreciate all your support, and we hope that you'll join us again.